Well, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just paying attention to what's going on across the board. We got NASDAQ just moving up so magnificently. The Santa rally seems to be coming into play, ladies and gentlemen. Just had some news from a Japanese finance minister saying, we have free hand to take bold action on the yen. When's the carry trade unwind going to come into play? Well, as we highlighted last week, the carry trade principle itself works on the extremes of where Forex or foreign exchange sits. And if price of these assets hits a certain extreme, then we can expect a little bit of behavior. Now, the markets are pumping very, very well. I hope you're all taking advantage of that. Anyways, we're going to try and keep this live short and sweet because I know it's Christmas period. Have I done my shopping? Nope. Well, I tried to, but it's just... Nope. Haven't done it. So we're going to try and get as much of information as possible over to you, highlight key levels, because we only have realistically 2 days of trading. That's today and tomorrow, where the market can really start maneuvering things. Are companies going to just plow into stocks? I'm talking about fund owners. Are they just going to go into stocks just to buff up their returns for the end of the year as such? But ladies and gentlemen, the big theme across the board is gold is making a significant move to the upside over geopolitical tensions. And of course, the idea that we're going to get rate cuts in 2026. We just had a speaker earlier on coming out running some, Mirren, one of Trump's good old trusty associates. And he's saying that if we don't adjust policy down, we do face the risk of a recession. They're starting to throw that. But hold on a second. Is your labor market not giving you signs that that's something that could be coming into play? Remember, contractions in the labor market usually do lead to a recession. So the Federal Reserve has got a lot to try and work with, but don't forget inflation. Inflation is still popping its head up, ladies and gents. So we're going to break it all down for you, just give you an overview of what's going on in the marketplace. Merry Christmas to you all. BlackRock is actually offloading quite a bit of Bitcoin, but when they sell the Bitcoin, they want to sell it when it's rising. So they're not going to sell it when it drops. They'll sell it when it rises. But we'll talk about that very, very shortly. So let's break it all down, ladies and gentlemen, help you guys understand what we can expect and hopefully just try and get as much information over to you within a short period of time. So let's break it down. So here's the NASDAQ. Very good movement to the upside. Takes out the Asian session range and just says, yes, please, to the upside. And it's done a very good sweep up. But the problem that I've got, of course, with NASDAQ is the volume is very light. Last week's volume expiration, the triple witching event, came into play with a very big move up. Well, not so much a big move, but lots of contracts expiring. Bitcoin managed to sustain itself. Let's quickly pull over Bitcoin price action. Whoops, that's Solana. Going into Bitcoin, just go to the free. Let's go to the hourly. And you can see Bitcoin's done a good job of taking out this area of liquidity over here. Nice little sweep up. And it's been quite a treacherous time for Bitcoin, if I'm frank with you guys. It's just been sweeping up and down. And it's doing very well to sustain away from these lows. There's a blue vector candle region down here that is a bit of a problem for me. And if I look at the order book with Bitcoin, you can see, let's give it a second. Look at that. I mean, we've been selling non-stop, and that means prices have been rising. They sell when prices rise. And you can see that we've had mad spot data suggesting that there's been a lot of participants selling this rally. So what we really need to be seeing is we need to see more people participating in the selling to encourage the idea of retail stepping in and buying at these levels. Going into the actual price action itself, you can see here that we've got Bitcoin just trying to take out these offers up here. And it's done very well. And we've got some bids coming into, well, just shortly there, bids coming into action, but they're not really getting quite filled yet. But the book is very light. It is very light. And that's the issue that we have got. So Bitcoin is prone to volatility to the upside and to the downside. Okay, so just take that into consideration. The thing that's hitting the news right now, guys, is, of course, the marketplace is just being powered by the tech market, and that's it. We had some good opening from Oracle and Micron Technology, but it's gold and silver. That's where it's at right now. If we just have a look at it, gold and silver hitting all-time highs as geopolitical tensions rise. I mean, I'm just looking at where we are right now in the S&P and the NASDAQ. It's just not stopped, guys. Just quickly going over and have a look at that. NASDAQ has just not stopped going up. It just doesn't want to stop. The sell button does not work, ladies and gentlemen. But of course, given that we are trading at value area highs in the stock market, it does make us think, okay, then at what point will there be a reversal? If you look closely, you can see that you've got yourself a very small gap at the open of Asia last night. So that's something that we've got to pay very close attention to. But my expectation is NASDAQ is going to try and clear that 800, 2,500, 25,800 region. Just going into some stocks as well, just to understand where we are with everything. Here we go. NVIDIA. It's moving up. We've got a gap up in NVIDIA. It's trading positive in the out-of-hours markets itself. Gold itself is just making a bit of a sweep up. It's just not stopping, guys. That 4,400 looks very, very nice. And this is only because of the idea of the expectation that rates are going to get cut. So gold will keep on going up. Are we close to that all-time? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're at all-time highs. That's it. Look at that. And I said to you all that gold will clear out its all-time high again. It's come back into that red vector candle recovery. It's just not stopping. Just buy. Forget the recession, man. It doesn't matter. We don't care about recessions. Just buy whatever you want. That's pretty much what the market is suggesting to you. Now, let's just quickly dive into a little bit of a story about the NASDAQ and the S&P right now. So we just, hold on, what the hell's going on here? All right, and so basically what we got to understand is this. When you see that, I mean, look at that. It's just unbelievable what's going on. This is the higher time frames right now. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. It's doing okay. I believe that with no test of the daily open, I don't think there's going to be any pullbacks happening across the board. I don't think there will be any pullback. Why? Because it's towards the end of the year and everyone is just rushing to just get their liquidity into the market, which is the Santa rally. That is the truth. Question. This is no rally. Ooh. It's no rally. Tino, the Japanese 10-year bond has passed the 2008 crisis and still Bitcoin is pumping. Why? Still waiting for Bitcoin to come down to 78, 76 to take a trade. Are you still going to see, or has that really started? Look, the idea behind the actual carry trade itself, let me explain. It has to hit an extreme, okay? And you can see already that the Japanese yen is at levels of extremes, okay? The S&P it's moving back up away from that big sell-off that happened, of course, which was triggered by the actual rate hike itself. But in my honest opinion, my expectation is that they're accumulating yen. The carry trade is going to come untrue. It's going to come into play, sorry. All right. And the reason being is because Forex levels, all right, where the concept of value comes into play, it's going to get triggered. All right. And the reason being is because the yen can't sustain this devaluation. It can't sustain it. All right. But they've given us the rate hike and the market hasn't reacted as such. Some of you might be saying that it's actually priced it all in. Okay. But the principle of the carry is still there. Why? Because it is costing them more money to hold on to this yen. Okay. Remember that the borrowing that they did on the carry at the start before they increased the rates is now costing them more money. Now we've got Japanese Governor Ueda speaking on Christmas Day, or just going into Christmas Day. What's he going to reveal? He's going to reveal what their plan is. And if he starts saying that we are going to increase it even further, then investors are going to have to start unwinding their risk, because if the rates go up to around 1.25%, which is what the projection is, ladies and gentlemen, that is a big hike on borrowing money, okay? Especially with a currency that had negative interest rates for such a long time. So in my opinion, guys, we're going to see that carry trade unwind. And what we're getting right now is just cryptocurrency making a nice little move up. You've got XRP doing nothing. You've got the euro just claiming its move to the upside. And this is how you know it's a bit of a dud thing, because the euro had not broken down on the back of the yen dropping. And the dollar dominance itself is just pulling back. So when the dollar itself's pulling back and the euro's holding and the yen's taken a nosedive to the downside, tells you that they're just setting it up because they're accumulating yen. All right. And then the offload of the yen going to the upside, investors are going to be plowing their money into yen because they're going to see it rally, is what's going to give you the carry trade unwind, in my opinion. Okay. Quickly going over into assets like Ethereum. Look at Ethereum right there, doing very, very well. Very, very choppy right now in regards to the way they're actually maneuvering. It's done a good job to sweep the Asian session high. Out of the two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're doing okay. Got a stop and volume candle. We've hit the extremes of the day. Going into Solana. Solana's very, very choppy as of late. You can see that. And it's kind of tough. And we've got the psychological levels where Solana has done a little bit of a test. If you're wondering what these levels are on my chart, it's the hybrid system. Just go into the settings and activate the M levels, which are the median of the pivot points, or the standard support and resistance levels, pivot levels, sorry, inside of the day's range per se. Okay. Now, quickly going over into what I want to draw your attention to is this chart right here. Remember, the NASDAQ has been rising on volume below average. So this is a bit of a problem for us. We need to see strong volume coming into play. And just to update this right now, we don't really have anything going in. We've got the 5-minute time frame just to see the pre-market orders. Nothing's coming in just yet because it hasn't opened fully. Going over into the BlackRock ETF, you can see the last couple of hours or so, they have been offloading the Bitcoin. So that would then make sense to back the idea that spot behavior of Bitcoin it's being sold. Look at it. When it's red, it means the spot market are selling into the rallies. Okay, they are selling the Bitcoin. What we want to see is we want to see that sustained selling to continue so that then that would increase the value of Bitcoin's price. Okay, that's where you as individuals need to do something about it and say, you know what? Yeah, I feel like I should be selling at this point if I've made a little bit of cash. But if you're holding on to Bitcoin on the idea that you want to see the all-time highs, then this information realistically doesn't really do anything for you, but it gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what's going on during the market's moves, okay? So at this current point, they're selling the Bitcoin. Question is, how long will they be selling the Bitcoin to the upside? Because that's what you do. You sell something of value when it increases in value. That's what the idea is, ladies and gentlemen. Going back into Bitcoin, let's have a look at where you are. Still holding that 90K point. Tino, when you expect the crash in Q1 at the beginning in January? Look, for me, it's when the yen itself, when Bank of Japan give us more information about their rate cuts, their rate hikes. At the same time, we're getting a rate cut in the US dollar. So naturally, investors are going to want to leave the dollar anyway because the yield on the dollar is being reduced. Going over into the 10-year yields and the 2-year, you can see, look, let's just look at this for a second. Japanese yen currently trading at 2.075%. That is not sustainable, especially in lines of their GDP, because they can't really sustain these high yields for investors. Investors are yet to go into the yen just yet. The 10-year bond is still trading negative at 0.46%. That's no good for the Japanese. They need investors to go into their yen. Going into the 10-year bond market, you can see that is down minus 0.1%. But the yields themselves, you've got 0.37% trading positive on the 2-year. The 5-year is trading up, and the 10-year and the 30-year are all trading up. What we really want to see is the volatility index coming into play and saying, you know what? We don't care. We're just going to buy, because that's what you're witnessing right now. The VIX is taking a nosedive, which tells you that investors are very complacent. They're not too concerned about things, so they're taking on risk and marking it everything to the upside. Just be mindful that the VIX itself is prone to volatility. It will shoot up, and when it does shoot up, it means investors are triggering the hedge. But as I said before, when it comes to Forex, what you've got to be mindful of is levels of extreme price action, okay? Not so much candlesticks, but where the idea of value comes into play. You look at the dollar-yen principle and you say to yourself, okay, then where are we at? Well, dollar-yen's making a move to the upside. It's not now starting to pull back, which is good news, which means that the euro's going to go up, the yen's going to go up. But what's throwing people off is the fact that the yen has taken a nosedive, dollar hasn't really dropped, and then, of course, euro hasn't really dropped, and investors are like, well, the carry trade, it doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't matter. That is wrong. The carry is going to unwind. We're just waiting for those levels to get hit, and those levels, in my opinion, we are priming them right now, because the yen itself is just taking just a bleed lower, and it's holding out at this level. As long as it stays above 0.006342, then, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get ready for a nice little rally in the end, because Commitment of Traders report is suggesting that that is the case. We've got non-commercials holding out and going long on yen, and the commercials are the ones that are retaining the price. Why? Because they are hedging. And once they've hedged themselves enough against the US dollar, that's when they will start to unwind and then start going into longs on the yen. And then that way they can start offering out on their yen positions. And then, of course, the yen in the future will then start to increase aggressively to the upside. Here we go. Tina, so if we see 78K, 76K on Bitcoin, is that an opportunity for a swing trade? Look, rather than a swing trade, this is what you've got to look at it as: position trading, okay? Position trading means that on Bitcoin, you are going to be holding the price, holding the asset for quite some time, okay? That means if Bitcoin sustains this level right here and continues to go up, then you're projecting yourself an outlook of, let's say, 1 to 2 quarters, for example, okay? You're going to be holding for a couple of quarters. That's a position trader, all right? Where the idea of value comes into play. In other words, if you look at dollar yen and you say to yourself, well, where's dollar yen right now? You then look at it and think, okay, is dollar yen expensive? Well, dollar yen is aggressively high against the Japanese yen, all right? So that means we are heading into very significant levels. This is the idea of where position traders set themselves up. Why? because they know that dollar against the yen is too high. So we know that there's going to be some activity from the Bank of Japan to do something about this, whether that be Forex intervention, or they keep increasing their interest rates to encourage investors to go into the yen, thus reducing the value of the dollar. Even though the value of the dollar is coming down, that's going to trigger or catalyze the idea of getting investors to exchange from dollars into yen. So that is my expectation overall. NASDAQ, you wonderful thing. Tino, will you dye bird watch to White Christmas Eve? Dye your beard for what? I'll just probably go and get myself a beard, for the Christmas stream rally as such. I'll get myself a beard, Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Significant profits in October, just waiting to re-enter. Okay, then that's fine. Okay, we're going to 95. Well, Merry Christmas, Tino Bambino. Mad love and respect. Listen, if you are new to the channel, welcome. My name's Tino. We talk madness in the stock market. We talk wildness on Bitcoin. Bitcoin seems to be pulling back a little bit. Let's quickly go to the 4 hour, understand where we are. It's pulling up. I mean, NASDAQ hasn't stopped. Look at it. The sell button does not work, ladies and gentlemen. It's just going and going. There's a big pool of liquidity up here, we assume, and this could be an area of resistance for the NASDAQ, but the fact that they haven't even closed that gap is absolutely wild. Just looking at the news, the market, the mood data has come out. A lot of it is the idea that CPI data came in lower, and that's good news for the marketplace, and that's why everything's going up, and that's why gold is going up, and it's not stopping. Look, up 2%, man. It's wild. Tina, can you translate me in Greek or put your videos after some languages transitions? German is fine too. Yeah, we could do that. We could do that. Tina McGregor. Okay, cool. I'm good with that. All right, Tina, but where would the TP be for a position trader to wait for another retrace? Listen, it's not about, stop focusing on TP, all right? TP is really for short-term day traders, in my opinion, all right? For position traders, you're really aligning yourself with macro data, okay? Because that's where we are. Here we go. Big NASDAQ's taking a little bit of a sweep. It's doing very well on the depth. If you just look on the depth right now, it's going absolutely crazy. That's what usually happens on the NASDAQ. All right, all the market is now is getting all the information. It's trading the idea that we are trading at value area highs. It has been at a premium all morning. It hasn't stopped. I do believe 25,800 could be on the cards before they do decide to pull back a little bit. But again, it's the last 2 days of the year, like that really they can really maneuver price. So just be very careful when you're witnessing these longs, ladies and gentlemen, that are coming into the marketplace. Thoughts on silver? Yeah, silver. Everyone is talking about silver, and they're going to want to know what's going on with silver right now. Just quickly go and have a look at silver itself. Where you at? Silver. There we go. Look, it's just not stopping. $70. Yeah. Silver is going to be on track for a nice climb towards $100 in the near future, in my expectation. It's trending, and when it trends, it trends. All right, it does very, very well. But the only thing you need to be focusing on, just going back to that gentleman about the position, you have to just align yourself with what's going on macroeconomically. We know we're going into a rate cut, so that means it's cheaper on the dollar. But we've also got the problem of the yen being more expensive. And we've just got to wait for that moment where investors who are in the carry unwind from the carry, reevaluate, and then start going into the logic of using cheaper money. Because when you think about it, if yen is getting expensive, the only thing that's getting cheaper is the dollar. So let them unwind out of the carry. And then when the dollar takes a nosedive, it's going to trigger the concept of value again. And the yields on the dollar will be lower in the sense that the interest rates are cheaper. They will then transition into the dollar, and then the dollar will then start marking higher and higher. Okay, that's all we're waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this absolute madness from the NASDAQ. It is not stopping. Just go to the 1 hour. Market is now open, ladies and gentlemen. Green vector candles. It's not stopping. Just be very cautious when you're trying to run these longs. You've got a gap down here. It is doing absolutely wild. The bond market is trading negative. When the 10-year futures trade negative and the NASDAQ is moving up, it tells you that investors are favoring higher prices. But be very careful, because we have been going up non-stop since the market opened. Okay. Tino, do we do 3 days down after a fake move today? Listen, a lot of this movement to the upside is just being triggered on optimism of, oh, rate cuts into next year. Oh, gold's on an all-time high. Yields going down. Happy days. Technically speaking, it's not about whether you just look at it from 3 hits high, 3 hits down, and what have you. You're trading sentiment. And that's what you're trading right now. Okay, so just be very cautious if you're going to try and run shorts. because the market is trading positive. Yes, the NASDAQ has been making significant moves up, and it hasn't stopped doing that as well. But again, just be very careful. We haven't had no test of the daily, so just take your time with everything, ladies and gentlemen. When will risk be on interesting again for institutions only when Bitcoin goes lower? Tino, is it possible that we can see some pullback on gold and silver before we can see higher prices? I don't think gold and silver are going to pull back as aggressively because we are in line with the rate cuts. If you just look at where we are right now on the Fed watch, we can see that, look, 80.1% in expectations that the rates are going to be held in 2026, okay? But the market participants or the FOMC guys are turning around saying that they're going to be looking for rate hikes. So again, it's all data dependent. And that's what I mean when I say to you, you are trading macros, okay? NASDAQ, you beautiful thing. Look at that. Nice little snap reversal. Anyways, with that being said, I thought I'd keep it short and sweet, guys. But listen, be safe when you're trading these wild environments. And I'll be tuning into you all later on. I'm going to do a video and break everything down for you on what's going on and what has happened in the market and what to prepare for, and using hybrid system concepts to help you just try and identify key trading opportunities because they are there all the time, ladies and gentlemen. All right. With that being said, mad love and respect, and I'll be tuning into you all later on. Peace.